For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
Welcome to another edition of Talking Ball with the Czar. I'm Emery Hunt, the Czar of the Playbook, here on the campus of the College of New Jersey with head football coach, legendary head football coach Rocky Hager. Coach, thanks for taking time.
My pleasure, Emery.
Well, here's the thing, Coach. You were a 4-time national champion, 2 as a head coach at North Dakota State. You were part of a program that dropped football in the Northeast, and I'm still sore about dropping football programs. And you were also last year stepping in as the interim head coach here at the College of New Jersey. You've seen the highs, you've seen the lows, you've been riding away for as many years. What keeps you going? What makes this another great opportunity for you?
Emery, I have a saying. If God blesses me to be 100, I hope He gives me the health to coach when I'm 99. And the reason I feel that way is way back when I was a sophomore in high school, my high school principal ran a youth basketball thing on Saturday mornings. And I was asked to go help coach those youngsters, and back in Harvey, North Dakota, one day a little guy named Jeffrey Shale picked up what we were trying to teach, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And it's like, wow, he's learning, and it was just very invigorating, and that feeling's never left me. I get really excited when guys pick things up, and we need to be able to continue to do those kinds of things as coaches. A lot of guys get into coaching for the money. Yeah, money's nice, but that isn't the reward. The reward is when young men come back to you 3 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, and say, you know, Coach, I'm doing things now that you taught us how to do, and I get to meetings early because of your expecting us to be at the meetings early. It's all that makes coaching. I don't go to work, I go to the office, and I get to do fun things because I get to go to the office and work with young people. I'm 65, going to be 66. I don't feel 65. I don't even know what that's supposed to feel like. I feel very invigorated because of people like Sean Clay, who played here and was a captain and broke his leg and comes back and sees us. Because of people like Max Buska, who's a sophomore linebacker for us. Jesse Streb, who is a sophomore strong safety for us. Trevor Osler, who's our starting quarterback. I mean, those people and what they do for our program is very inspiring and very invigorating for me.
Now, with the different changes, let's say you could have had consistent success at one place, or let's say not a lot of success at one place. Do you think the constant change in situations, even throughout your entire coaching career, does that kind of reignite that fire for you?
The part that is the change that has always kept me really inspired is August, which is a coach's Christmas. When the new guys arrive, what's inside that package? What's really the way they're going to conduct themselves? And how can I help them become a better player? And then there's also the sidebar possibilities of helping them make decisions that are better decision-making things for life. If you think you're coaching just to have the X and O's portions of games, that's not what coaching is really all about. It's helping people. It's being a person that they can come to. That doesn't mean I don't get upset. That doesn't mean that I won't give them a hug when they're doing things well. I've sat in my office and cried with players when some adversity is struck at home, or a girlfriend's told them to take a hike. I mean, I get attached to our players, and that is something that I value greatly. They are why I come to the office and why it is not work, because that's part of what we're supposed to be doing as coaches. Help make our place a little better. And it doesn't matter if the place is Sherwood, North Dakota, where I started coaching, and it was only 9-man football, or at Northeastern when they chose not to continue the sport. Helping all those young men find things that they needed to do after the program was discontinued that was the times that I went to work, because it was not the fun stuff that I enjoyed doing. They are in good places because the assistant coaches and myself chose to do things to help them get to where they need to be. Probably the best story of all is Matt Lingle, who was a tight end in the Super Bowl with the Patriots, was a freshman at Northeastern when we dropped the program. Couldn't get anybody to recruit him because he was being redshirted and he didn't have any game film. We didn't have the video storage space to save all the practices, and I watched that young man make shoestring tackles, or shoestring catches, and catches that looked like they had no chance of being thrown. They were so far over his head. I mean, he just made a lot of great plays, but there was no video. He ended up going to Eastern Kentucky, having a great career, and now he is a Patriot, and he's going to get a Super Bowl ring. And that's helping him find a place. Was not easy, but I'm sure glad we did.
Everywhere you've been, Coach, whether it's been a head coach or an assistant coach throughout your tenure, defense has been the name of the game. You know, defense has always been hard-nosed, tough, very stingy, doesn't give up a lot of points. And which is interesting because you were a great offensive lineman in college. Why has defense been your quote-unquote calling card, and why has that been so important to establish that side of the ball first?
First off, I don't know if I was a great offensive linebacker. I was recruited to be a linebacker.
Okay.
And when I arrived, I'd been playing center in high school, and the guy that was supposed to be back to play center was not able to return to the team. So the head coach says, you're going to go play center. So I went and played center. I mean, that's why that I've been on the offensive side. But I've always believed that championships start with good defense. If you can prevent people from scoring points, you got a chance to win. Back in the old days, if you didn't allow any points, you at least got a tie.
Right.
Well, that doesn't happen anymore. But it still applies that if you start with good defense, your offense will have chances, more chances than other teams, to put points on the board. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a good offense, but you still need to start with a good defense. And if you go through all of the champions, probably, and I haven't done the true research in this, but probably in the last 10 years, I don't know that there's a single national champion at Division III, Division II, FCS, BCS, or NFL that doesn't start out with a very solid defense. I'm not saying the number one defense or anything, but their defense darn well better be able to stop people. And I think that is the main foundation to a championship football team, is getting a defense that can take care of the opponent's scoring opportunities. I also believe the defense starts up front. So if your defensive line is not capable of holding up to the things that the opponent's offense is running, then you're going to be in for a long day. As a result, I still believe championships start up front. You better have a good defensive line, and if your offensive line can match up with that defensive line, you have a chance. And that's all I've ever asked for in life, is a good chance.
And that's the interesting part, because again, you play right in the middle of the offensive line. Does that give you a unique perspective? Because you also played in the middle at linebacker as well. Those battery positions, does that give you a unique perspective on how you were able to build your defense and your offense?
My college head football coach was Ken Becker. He's also the high school coach when I was a freshman in high school. And he had a statement that he made that when he asked me to move to center is, if you don't think of football the same as you do baseball, if you're not strong up the middle, you can't win in baseball. If you're not strong up in the middle in football, you're not going to win. So I do believe that if you are in the middle, you need to be one of the better players. You need to have a center, and the center is a tough position because you are given the responsibility of seeing to it the play starts correctly, as well as getting the first block. If you can't get the first block from the inside there, the offense is done. If you can't deliver the ball in throwing or run an option or whatever it is at the quarterback spot, you're done. If you can't take care of the free safety in the middle of formation, or a linebacker's in the middle, or a nose man in the middle, your defense is not good. So yes, it has to work from the inside out. And in today's football, if you get to the perimeter and people have really fast receivers, if you don't have good corners, you're in trouble. If they have really good corners, you don't have receivers to take the top off the coverage, you're in trouble. So football has become pretty much more broad-based to where you have to have all positions. But I still believe if you're strong up the middle and you're strong up front, you got a chance to be a champion.
New Jersey high school football, I believe, is on par with the state of Georgia as far as the density of the talent. I didn't realize that till I moved up here from New Orleans, how good high school football was in the state of New Jersey. And so that's why you see a lot of talent from the FBS level all the way down to the Division III level here in New Jersey with the programs. And I say that to say this: how are you trying to acquire that talent, or how has the process been acquiring that talent? Because I think this is a sleeping giant program. And how are you laying that foundation of success here at TCNJ, and where you ultimately want to build this program to go?
The one thing that having moved out here from the Great Plains, is there is a genetic talent level in the state of New Jersey that I was not accustomed to. We had to travel around to find it. We would go to Georgia, we'd go to Florida, we'd go to Colorado, we'd go to Chicago, and find the talent pools there, because let's face the reality, North Dakota was there's 2 senators and 1 representative, and that means it's the lowest possible number of people in Washington D.C. Because of population. When we got out here, it was amazing to me how many talented people there are, and the amount of opportunity they have for practice. Practice in New Jersey starts the day classes are over, or the day that the last spring sport championship is held, and they can start football right away. Now, some of it is solely in sweats, some of it's in helmets and sweats. Eventually they get into being in pads, and it's a full team deal. And youngsters are put into a lot of situations where they learn specific techniques to be better at playing pass coverage, learning better to be good pass setters and pass protectors, learning to be good pass rushers and how to counter the pass protection techniques. And that is something that I think that places that have spring football in the South have a bit of an advantage on most schools up north. Jersey catches up with that because they are in football practice virtually all of June. If school starts, lets out the first week of June, then it's all of June, all of July, and then all of August before they start to play. So they get a lot of extra time with which to develop things. I have a great respect for the New Jersey high school football coaches, because essentially from the time school's over until their season's over, there's no time off. They work at it very, very diligently, and they are very thorough with the things that they put together as far as packages and plans. I get asked frequently, can you stop by after recruiting so we can talk a little bit about whatever it might be, and I find that they are exceptionally knowledgeable, and they work very hard at trying to gain some little advantage so they can put it to use when they get into games in September, October, November, and hopefully in December. How are we going to put that to use here? We're hoping that we can add to our football staff to get more people onto the recruiting trail and make more connections with the high school student athlete, and taking a serious look at the academic excellence that we have on this campus and what you can do with playing here, as well as the degree once you have finished your undergrad studies here on the campus of College of New Jersey. Our academics are very, very good. There is a publication that calls us the Public Ivy. You got to be a good student to get in here. And I personally believe that means it's an opportunity for us to make you a really good player, because that intellect can be equated to being very good with execution on the game field. And that's the dream that we have. I think we can have that, because when I was at North Dakota State, we went and played over a national championship and the travel squad was 48, and more than half the travel squad were engineers.
Nice.
I mean, engineering's a good curriculum here. There's a lot of good areas academically on this campus, and that means that if we find people that can handle that academics, it's our chance to make them a very good football player.
Now you look at Montclair State, Kane, Rowan, William Patterson, all within New Jersey, all within the NJAC. How good is this conference top to bottom?
Well, the conference got exponentially better when they added the southern schools as well. I mean, it is exceptionally competitive. You don't have a given Saturday that's going to be an easy contest. They're all going to be very challenging. And if you have a game that you go out there and you weren't quite on your emotional high, you're probably going to get your britches knocked right down to your ankles. You're going to get nailed. So you got to be ready every Saturday. The one thing that is a challenge is making sure that you organize your practice correctly so you can maintain health and you get enough reps to be able to be sharp and execute in the normal down and distance situations in games. This league has such good coaching and such good talent that if you aren't on your P's and Q's, you're going to end up on the short end of the scoreboard. So we work very hard at trying to get ourselves as well prepared as we possibly can and taking care of the health of the student athletes so they can play at the highest level on Saturday afternoon.
Over the course of a football life, so to say, football definitely teaches you a lot of different lessons, life lessons and on the field lessons. What were some of the things that you feel as though football taught you over the course of your career?
The importance of being able to trust and depend on others is probably the biggest thing. In my opinion, our game is a game that you cannot get by with a star or a pair of stars or even 3 or 4 stars. You need all 11 people to be able to do things together to get a few yards, a first down, or continue it and score a touchdown, or stop them, or get a takeaway. You need all 11 people to be able to make that happen. And I personally believe that is why when people start going into the work world, they are able to go, well, this isn't about just me, this is about us. And that's probably the biggest lesson that comes out of our game. It's not about me, it's us. I'm thinking it was maybe Coach Dooley that started with, there's no me in team. I mean, ultimately, bottom line is, you need to be able to depend upon the others and trust that they will do their best to make it so you can have a chance to be successful on a given play and in a sequence of taking it and getting it taken care of. Either driving it down and scoring or stopping them and giving the ball back to the offense. I mean, it is truly a team game. And it isn't just the 11 that are on the field now or the 11 that will be coming on the field next. It's the 11 that are coming on the field for special teams. It's the guys that are backups that need to be understanding that if somebody happens to break a shoelace in their shoulder pad, you've got to be able to go out there and be ready to get after it right off the go. And that is a unique thing about the game of football. Teaches family more than anything else. Because I grew up on a farm, and on the farm, everybody has their chore to do, and if you don't do it, you aren't going to make any money. If you don't make any money, you starve. This does the same thing as I learned on the farm.
You look at coaching side of it. Has what you learned as a player kind of altered the way you approach coaching?
In some ways, no. In some ways, yes. The play part is being aware of, we don't do a one more play, a one more play, a one more play. We practice with a practice clock. That I learned because walking into dinner at home and mom's doing the dishes, it's like not the right thing to do. So let's have a structured deadline to things. Life has deadlines, so why not make it so it's a deadline in the practice situation? The part that I would say I learned more than anything else is doing it so it's exactly right, not kind of right. Because kind of right will someplace along the way break down and make it so you aren't taking care of your 1/11th for the team's success. Some of my biggest disappointments as a player is when I didn't take care of my 1/11th. And the result was either we turned it over, or we got stopped, or we didn't make the tackle, or whatever it might be. It needed to be owning what was not correct, and now making it so we can put that on the field with our players.
Coach, one of my favorite questions I always ask everyone is about philosophy. What's your coaching philosophy, or what's one piece of your philosophy that you'd like to share with us?
Coaching philosophy, I think, has multiple facets to it. Some are how you conduct things within your staff. Some are how you conduct things within the design of the X and O portions. Some of it is how you are going to take care of the recruiting side. The biggest thing that I would say is the central focus in all of the philosophies for us would be family, meaning we all need to be in this together, meaning the staff needs to be in it together, meaning the players that are part of the group that's going to be on the field or being backups need to buy in and be a part of it. And then in the recruiting part, finding people that you know are going to be someone who can commit to what we are doing. I have a saying with our recruiting process: we don't need to bring in headaches. Sometimes they just develop. So if somebody is going to be a headache, let's not bring that part to our situation, because that headache could become multiple headaches. So let's not put ourselves into that. In regard to the staff setting, it doesn't mean that we can't have disagreements. But once we open the door and we go out to do whatever we're doing, we're all on the same page. We're all singing the same song, or reciting the same process, because none of us can sing with a darn. And then with the team, being able to get them to see what we're trying to accomplish and allow them to feel comfortable. And the term nowadays is buy-in. Well, buying in is allowing them to feel comfortable and confident that it's working. Sometimes that takes a little while. Sometimes it needs a little adjusting on our coaching behalf to see to it that we aren't asking the Jimmy and Joes to do things that they have not been blessed with the talents to be able to do. One of the main things, I'll scold you if you mess up. Short version of that, though, is if I haven't taught you, I shouldn't say a word to you. If I have taught you and you don't get it right, I need to step back and try to reinvent how I presented it to you so you can better grasp what's being said. If I can't get through it that way, then I need to figure a third pattern. And once we get to the point where we have the understanding, then now I can expect. And once I get to the expectation side of things, then we need to provide you the repetitions with which to get good and skilled at it. At the end of that process, if you go back out and make that mistake, I'm going to let you know I don't like it. If you make it a second time, I'm going to let you know a little more assertively that I don't like it. And then it's up to me to figure out whether or not we allow you to continue to be the one that's trying to do it. At that same note, one of the first games that I coached here at the College of New Jersey is we're playing a team that I had a very strong relationship with their head coach, who had been the offensive coordinator for us at Northeastern. And we tipped the blitz, and by George, they take their back in motion, and there's no way in God's green earth the guy that's supposed to cover him can cover him. There's 12 seconds to go in a half. They throw it, they score a touchdown, and before they finished their extra point and before they could kick off, I was on the sideline pulling the defense together and saying, "That's not your fault. I did not teach you that they were going to do that. That's on me. When we get into the halftime locker room, I'll teach you what we need to do so they can't pull that on us again." I honestly believe that's one of the steps that made it so our players thought that I had some skills to help them. I wasn't a dummy. And I knew that there would be doubts about that particular play. And the bottom line was, it wasn't their fault, it was mine. And I think that is important that people know when you recognize that you have had a shortcoming. That is probably the most important part of all the philosophy parts, is knowing that we aren't perfect. God didn't make anybody perfect but one guy, and he died on the cross for us. So the bottom line is, if I have an imperfection, I better share it that I know I have it, and have others help me fix my imperfection.
Coach, this is a great campus. I took a short tour this morning before I came in, and perfect landscape. It's in New Jersey, but students have a lot of options. Why should a student athlete choose TCNJ, and what makes this program unique?
My first thing in recruiting has always been, and will never ever change from being, you should select where you're going to go play college football based upon what the school provides to you academically first. I encourage student athletes to make a list of the things they need to find in a school, and don't make football the top of the list. List the things that are important to you. Obviously, getting a degree so you can have a better life at the end of that educational process should be number one. How that school fits to you academically is very important. What the school can bring to you once you've finished that degree is probably the most important factor of all, but there are other parts in it. We have a very good placement rate here at the College of New Jersey. Virtually unbelievable numbers in every possible major. As a result, the reason you should come to the College of New Jersey is for the education. The reason we should play football is I sincerely believe that when you play the game of football, you learn those family skills that we talked about a moment ago. You learn to be able to depend upon others. You learn to be able to accept the fact that you aren't perfect, and that you have sometimes a need to make adjustments and fix things. I do believe that employers that have a feel for what football can do for them will tend to hire someone who is maybe not the 4.0 student, but is a good student, and they have those interpersonal skills to be able to interact with others, be able to accept other ideas, be able to make adjustments. When defeat happens, they know how to adjust and move on. And they're competitive as heck, and when they get out in the work world, they're going to compete for what's the best for that particular job. I think that's a real big factor, and I think that's one of the reasons why the College in New Jersey puts you ahead of the curve when it comes to being able to be in the work world. And when you make the choice, don't think about when you're just going to be 21 or 22. Think about what you're going to be at 32 or 42 or 66, for the simple reason there are things that you get in your education, and we provide some very good things here that are going to make it so you have an advantage. Come get the Lion advantage.
Now, do you guys have room for one more running back? I should have some eligibility levels.
We have room for several running backs. Right?
Well, I appreciate you showing me around the campus, taking time talking with me, and I wish you the best of luck this season, Coach.
Thank you, Emery. We play the game to play the game. Division III might not be the level that you dreamt about being able to be, but you're going to get to play the game, and the game is a great game, and you'll learn plenty of things to make you a better candidate for a job upon graduation. Division III is the purest form of college athletics.